Welcome in. It's Tri-State Tailgate coming back at you with episode 3. Man, do we have a good one for you today. Very excited that you're happy that you're here to tailgate with us. That's all we're here to do is give you our opinions, just our thoughts on our favorite teams of Alabama, Georgia, and Tennessee, but also talk to you about the bigger sport in general in college football. We're so excited that you're here with us, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Share this video out there. Get it with your friends. Show your family. We try to put content out nearly every single day, and we love you guys getting involved in your feedback. And we can't thank everybody enough for just hanging in there with us. We're just a bunch of new guys, like we talked about, that's just kind of stepping out, doing this for fun, and that's what we want to have. And that's really what it is. Just fun to us to sit here on a Sunday afternoon and talk about some football. So what we're going to talk about a little bit about today is kind of the overall title is New Faces and New Places. So we're going to kind of start out with talking about, for our teams, Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, the biggest coaching hires, the biggest transfers, and top recruits coming into this season. Players and coaches that we think are going to be the difference in our teams. That may be a spot we were missing last year, a spot we were deficient in last year, that we think is here to help us and build our teams, because we're all chasing that one thing, and that's a national title. So we're all chasing that. So, Michael, we're going to start with you tonight, buddy, and we're going to talk about our biggest coaching hire coming into our school this year. So we'll start out with the UGA, the Dogs today. And, Michael, what you got for us, good buddy?
Well, the biggest name that I've got that just come to mind is that Phil Rushier is our offensive line coach now. And the guy that was in that role, Stacy Surreals, he's stepping down. I don't guess it's a lateral move for him, but he's going to be our offensive analyst. And, with programs such as especially Georgia and Alabama, and I would say Alabama more so under the Nick Saban era, is every year after year, almost like every 2 years, you would have a different offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator. That hasn't been the case so much for Kirby lately. We've still had the guys at defensive and offensive coordinator, but Coach Smart is making some changes with our offensive line coach, going to that Phil Rushier guy, which you'll have some good guys to work with, some of the returners that we have. Like I say, most of our offensive line had a lot of experience this past year. The biggest name I can think we're replacing is that Freeling on the left tackle side, but everybody else has worked in. So I'm excited to see what Phil Rushier is going to do for our offensive line group. I think he's going to be a big time coach for us, and I'm excited about that.
Yeah, well, you got to think, man, last year the offensive line, I think, going into the season was kind of a question mark.
It was.
And with all this returning experience and the offensive line coach kind of making that change, you talk about all you want to, but Kirby knows what he's doing. If he feels like a change needed to be made, he's doing it for Georgia. And so all this returning experience, it could be what really sets Georgia apart going in this next coming season. You guys have 4 returning starters. That's huge in the SEC, with experience. Like we've talked in the past.
You go ahead.
I was going to say, in the past 2 years, the biggest thing that you've seen in teams that go on and win the national title or are competing in the Final Four or making the playoffs, those are teams with experience. Yeah. Those are teams that are old. They're veteran teams. So to have them come back and have a little bit of continuity at the offensive line and your returning quarterback, that's huge. And to have an offensive line coach that can come in and maybe Kirby's wanting to change the mentality. Maybe Kirby's saying maybe we got too complacent. We've not been that same old Georgia team that he remembers back in the 21, 22, 23 team. And he's ready to get that physicality back, because physicality wins the day.
And one of the biggest things, and the thing I'm excited most about, is the fact that if you go in the portal, like all these teams do, every big time team has to go in the portal nowadays, and to find a great offensive lineman, like whether it be the center, the guard, or the tackle, to find a great offensive lineman is not easy to do. Those guys are almost as valuable as the stars, like the wide receiver position, the quarterback or running back position. Because, man, if you can't have a great offensive line to go out there and block for your running game or to make moves like that, then you're in trouble. And that's why I think that was a really good pickup for Kirby to go and get that Phil Rasheer guy, because we may have gotten complacent because we haven't had our offensive and defensive coordinator taken from us. I don't foresee Bobo going anywhere anytime soon. He's probably going to be at Georgia forever. And a guy like the same thing kind of goes for Glenn Schumann. I don't know. His name was tossed out there for like one of these coaching vacancies, especially maybe in the SEC, which is a subject we may get on later on in this show. But the SEC has 6 new faces in the coaching positions, head coaching positions. So I thought we would lose a guy like Glenn Schumann to one of those. But yeah, that's the guy that I'm excited about to kind of take over our offensive line. And I hope day one just produce, because going into that Tennessee game in 2025, that was my biggest concern. I thought, man, our offensive line play has not been very good. And we're about to go into Neyland and have to play that team, a fired up team. And really it was a nail biter all the way to the end. And we didn't have great offensive line play. They kind of turned it around towards the end of the season. But like you say, I think that's why Kirby decided to make this move. Because if not, you're like, are you going to stick with Stacy Surreals, who, like I say, is going to the offensive analyst role? But I think it was a good decision by Kirby to bring in Phil Rasheer and see how he does.
And just to
what
make
do you
a
think?
comment
How
on
far?
that, go ahead, Mike. Go ahead, Adam.
I was going to shoot it to you and just say, how big do you think offensive line play is, not only for Georgia but just in general?
Oh yeah, well, I mean, I'll comment on that, but I think Kirby Smart knows what he's doing, man. If he can get some big guys up in the trenches there up front, man, if you can give a high caliber quarterback like Gunnar Stockton time to work, I mean, we know the guy can run. I mean, he's got legs on him. He's got wheels underneath him, guys. So if you can put some big up front guys on the line, give him time to work, man, I mean, it's almost like Georgia would be unstoppable on offense. Yeah. I mean, we've seen big plays made by Gunnar Stockton.
Yeah, and going back to like last week, my biggest concern from a week ago, our podcast a week ago, was the wide receiver role for Georgia. But, man, I mean, if you have a great offensive line coach, you have a great offensive line that stayed with Georgia like we have, you give those wide receivers that may not have that much experience some time to get open and to help Gunnar Stockton out. But, yeah, if they're trying to have to do these dink and dunk down the field because Gunnar has no time in the pocket, then we're going to be hurting. But I think that's why he decided to make that change, because that's like anybody. No team is successful without a great offensive line.
No. And that's actually, to be honest, man, that's actually my biggest coaching hire is our offensive line coach, Aiden Keelam. You know, he come in, and I think he was at USC as like an offensive analyst, and they brought him in to BAMA, but that dude's a 3-time Super Bowl champion. And the biggest stat I looked at with him, Adrian Keelam, is that he was with Oregon. If you remember back when Bo Nix was there in like 21, 22, when Bo Nix was having his great year, that they only gave up 5 total sacks with him at offensive line.
Yeah.
As a coach, offensive line coach. Last year alone, Alabama gave up 33. 33. And then I think the 2023 season when Milroe was there, we gave up 49. I mean, that's just inexcusable at Alabama. And plus, our run game was atrocious. I think I was watching Mark Shalee or something like that was on the next round this past week. Sorry, I can't remember his name, but he was even talking about Bama's offensive line. He said this is a funny story that him and Gruden sat down for 5 hours to watch Ty Simpson tape, and that during watching Ty Simpson play, he said, I cannot figure out what Alabama offensive line is trying to do. He said they're getting whipped every which way. There's no set scheme. There's no nothing. He said it's just there's no consistency there. And that's the biggest thing we fought with last year, man, was our offensive line. We couldn't give Ty time. We couldn't get no yards in the run game. I mean, it was really atrocious for what Alabama has always been. I mean, we've been able to line up and just dominate for so long, and to see an offensive line almost get dominated in front of us. And I'm not talking about guys just against Tennessee or against Georgia. I'm talking about when they played the smaller schools, you would see the tape. I mean, it's just you're getting whipped against anybody. And you got to make that change. And the biggest change I'm hoping that they're going to make is when they faced Indiana, man. I went out there, like I said, I watched the Rose Bowl in person. I've never seen Alabama get dominated up front like that. Physically. I mean, Indiana imposed their will on them. And Georgia did the same thing like 2 weeks ago. The first half of the Oklahoma game was the same thing. I mean, just getting absolutely whipped. So hopefully this change in offensive line for Bama is what really can turn Bama around this upcoming year. Because whoever we put back there at quarterback, I don't care who it is, Austin Mack or Keelan Russell, you're going to need time. The SEC, I mean, with Tennessee, Georgia, Auburn, A&M, LSU, all these great teams, they always seem to have a great defense and pass rusher. And when you can't protect your quarterback, you're not going to do anything. Yeah. We're lucky how far we got last year with what we put on the field. So I'm just hoping and praying that we finally made a change.
And that's really impressive to make it as far as Alabama did, having the run game they had. And Georgia kind of did the same thing. They finished nearly last, which is very sad to say. But the 2024 season, Georgia finished nearly last in the running the ball, which is what Georgia's known for. They finished nearly last in the SEC this past year, making the changes that they made and having the somewhat better offensive line play. They were like fourth in the SEC. Yeah. So I think this is going to be a good move too, because this guy, Phil Rushier, was on the staff last year as an offensive analyst, but prior to that, he has tons of NFL experience. He was with the Vikings, the Redskins, the Broncos, all as offensive line coach. So anybody that wants to go to the next level and play for a guy like Phil Rushier and Kirby Smart at Georgia, you've got somebody that has NFL experience. He's going to teach him what he's learned all throughout his career. So, yeah, I think that's going to be a big-time factor for Georgia.
Well, that's the same thing with Adrian. I mean, 3-time Super Bowl champion. He played all the way through the league, and then he got into coaching. I think it was like 2008, and just built his way up to where he is now. And having that offensive line, and when you can go and tell kids, there's a difference in like me and you going to talk to a kid and saying, do this, do that, because really we had no real experience with high school football as far as we went. But when you can say, I'm telling you to do this because I won 3 Super Bowls. Yeah. I've been at the highest level of football. I've went to where you're dreaming of going. Then I'm going to listen, because this man's telling me what I need to get better. He's not just telling me just to tell me. He's telling me because he wants me to get better and he wants me to make it where he did. Yeah. And that's the biggest key, I think, going to getting offensive or former NFL players, former college players, and even former players of Georgia. I mean, you think about the biggest one is the head man. You know, he played at Georgia. Didn't Bobo play at Georgia?
He did.
Yeah, so having all that, man, I mean, that's huge. When you can have a player that played at Georgia and says, I wore the silver and black. Or the red and black. You know, I wore all that. I was in the same place you are. And we want to get to this school where it should be. I mean, they won back-to-back national titles. And same thing at Alabama. You know, we won many national titles when Coach Saban. And we're just trying to get it back to where it once was. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're right. It makes a difference.
And no disrespect to Tennessee and all our Tennessee following here, but Kirby Smart was 0-4 against Tennessee in his career as a player at Georgia. He couldn't ever beat them. So I think that wasn't something that set well with him. And, you know, now he's 1-9 or 9-1 rather. So I think he's trying to get them back.
We're hoping to get back to 1-9.
Well, that's a stat that may change, but now with all this chaos around SEC scheduling, that's one of the games that we're going to miss every year. I am anyways, because it was a guaranteed win, and I'm going to miss that. Guaranteed.
Kirby said after that first year with that Hail Mary, never again.
Oh, yeah. So he was 0-1 to start as a coach, and he's like, man, this is not going to happen.
Now I'm going to beat him like a red-headed stepchild.
Yeah, you talk about that, Jay. I don't know, man. That whole game was chaos because I thought we had won it. With very little time left. Yeah, I don't remember exactly how much time, but very little time left. Jacob Eason hits that guy in stride. He scores.
Jawan Jennings. Let that sink into your mind. You won't be able to sleep at night.
And then Jawan Jennings messed it up for me.
Yeah, it's wild, man. Who's that coach for Tennessee, Sean, that you're really looking forward to this year?
What I'm excited about is, our old coach was Kurt Schmidt, is the strength and conditioning coach. Like you said, Michael, he had experience in the NFL, I believe he coached for, I want to say San Francisco. I may be wrong, but he had NFL experience. He had, I think, 9 years experience coaching with Josh Heupel. And then we toss him to the side and we bring in this new guy, Derek Owings, our new strength and conditioning coach. And I'm pretty excited what he's going to bring to the table there at Tennessee. I mean, I've watched a couple interviews with him, and he seems like he's from a school of hard knocks, man. Like he's a strict coach, man. I believe he's going to turn things around and get these guys in shape. But the key benefits for him is he's got a championship pedigree at him, because he won the 2025 national championship with Indiana. He was their strength and conditioning coach. So that's huge for Tennessee to pick up a guy like that, as his caliber to help build us up. But he utilizes a lot of data-driven sports science model tracking. He tracks a lot of the player speed, power, vertical jumps. So the guy knows what he's doing, and he knows how to he talks about good weight. Getting that good muscle. You want that good weight, that fast muscle. He's trying to bring, get these offensive line, defensive line, get these big guys that weigh 300 pounds, hey, let's move. We need to get out there.
Like a cheetah.
Yeah, exactly. We need to move on the field, guys. You know how it is. You guys play football. Coaches always say, hey, no walking on the field,
Yeah. Well, Adam and I probably think about Adam and I both think about the same guy when you say that. One of our old high school football coaches who was notorious. We all made fun of him for yelling that all the time. No walking. No
walking. Yeah.
It didn't matter what you were doing, man. You could be going to get water and he'd be yelling, no walking. Yeah. But that's
bad. No laying down.
Yeah. And that right there is such an underrated coaching hire that you're bringing up there. So really, that's respectful to that guy to be mentioning him, because the strength and conditioning coach is almost I wouldn't say almost, I'd say is very important to these specific coaching groups. Like you got an offensive line coach, he's going to focus on offensive line. Well, guess what? The guy in the strength and conditioning room, he's going to be making sure those guys are strong enough and fast enough to do what the offensive line coach wants him to do. So that's an underrated coaching spot right there. So it's good.
Well, said even coming from Indiana. Well, even from coming from Indiana, the physicality, like I said just a minute ago, the physicality they put on the field is almost unprecedented. I know they were grown men. They were like 23-year-olds. Grown men.
Yeah.
But still, just the physicality they played with, and if he can bring that same mentality to Tennessee, watch out.
Yeah.
Watch out. And the thing about these new strength and conditioning things too, Michael was talking about when we played back in the day, and when you played back in the day too, I'm sure that there would be times that you'd be loafing or whatever. But now they got all these GPS things like tank tops, and they got a GPS locator on. They know your speed, your top speed, if you're loafing, if you're not putting out what you should. All that. There's so much sports science in it now that it's not like the old days of just going to the gym, son. It is down to a science. Of what can make you better. What gives you that 1% edge against a Georgia, against a BAMA, against an Auburn? What can get you that 1% better? That's what they really focus on now.
He's all about eating right, too. He said that I'm cutting out all full sugar Gatorades, no more fried chicken. That sucks, man. You come in here and you're going to tell me what I can and can't eat.
Yeah,
he's in full control.
That's bad recruiting for Tennessee there. You take away my friend food. I don't know if I'm going to Tennessee. You tell a guy like Jordan Davis, which he was pretty big at Georgia, and I think the Eagles kind of wanted him to slim down and stuff. But man, that guy was a monster, and I think Kirby was cool with it. He didn't really care about him slimming up, but he played that role at Georgia perfectly. You were not going to run the ball up the middle if he was at nose tackle.
No, and that's the truth, man. And congrats to him on his new contract too, getting that money, son.
Oh yeah, big time.
Go ahead.
Hey, listen to his track record, guys. All right, over his last 5 seasons across with working with James Madison and Indiana, his teams compiled 65-9 overall record. I mean, that's unreal, man.
It is. It's kind of crazy. He was at James Madison with Kurt Signetti as well. It's kind of crazy that he decided to come on over to Knoxville.
Mm-hmm.
But that's impressive. Yeah, money talks.
He did work with Josh Heupel back in 2018. So he's not. So he's not unfamiliar with Heupel's program.
And he might have also seen the writing on the wall, which is an early assumption I'm going to make, and we'll do these later in our podcast closer to season. But I'm thinking, and I may be dead wrong on this, and somebody's going to come back to this show and talk about it. I think Indiana was a one-hit wonder. I don't think they're going to be.
I believe it.
And maybe he saw that, so he's like, well, let me just go to Tennessee and help those guys out.
Well, hold on. You know how elite you have to be more than just a one-hit wonder? I mean, my God, dude, you've got to be
all the talk about Kurt Signetti being compared to Kirby Smart. If we're talking about coaches that are currently coaching, I thought was crazy. Kirby's had ongoing success the last 9 years of his tenure at Georgia, so it's kind of crazy to compare the two. But I don't know. I may be very wrong, and Indiana may beat Georgia at first round of the playoffs, and I'm like, dadgum, I wish I hadn't said that.
Well, think about what they just done. I mean, think about what he just done. He took a program. I mean, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, but when Mark Richt left Georgia, okay, and then Kirby Smart came in, I know it wasn't a great team, but it's Georgia. When Josh Heupel coming to Tennessee, like it wasn't a great program at the time. It was off a bunch of fines and all this or violations and all that. It's still Tennessee. Recruits itself. Bama, when Saban got there, it's still Alabama. When he went to Indiana, that's a basketball school.
Yeah.
And nobody thought of Indiana like that.
Yeah, it was Indiana.
He talks about. He said I had to come in here and change the mentality of people.
Yeah,
like to say I don't lose. He used to say Google me. You know what I mean? He's good, man. And think about what he done in 2 years. He took a program. It'd be like the equivalent, or maybe worse, of Vanderbilt, and turned them into a powerhouse national title that went through in 16-0 and dominated Bama. Who else say? They dominated Oregon, which has Dan Lanning, and then practically was dominating the first half against Miami. I mean, just dog walked them. You know, I mean that's impressive what he did, and I think he's here to stay because of what we're going to talk about later with the new players and stuff. But man, he is a good coach, and he did what Kirby couldn't do. Remember, Kirby had an opportunity year 2 win a natty in Atlanta. He didn't do it, and it went years before he got one. Kirk Snetti did it in 2 years.
Yeah,
nobody program, and I'm not disrespecting Indiana because they are very good at football now. But really, you think about it in terms of a no name program, basketball school that you would put that on your schedule and say that's a win. They're not even going to compete, and then took them to winning the national title. That's impressive, and I think he did with a lot of that strength and conditioning coach's help. I mean, coming from James Madison and now going into Indiana, I mean, you have to change that mentality, and it starts right there with that strength and conditioning coach. Right, maybe he's going to do that at Tennessee, and he's going to go to Tennessee now and change that mentality of we've not won it recently, like no SEC titles, no national titles, but I'm coming here to change that mentality.
Well, do you guys remember against when we went and played Ohio State in the playoffs? Remember when our guys ran out onto the field shirtless? It's 30 degrees out, and they want to be tough. Hey, that's got to deal with strength and conditioning, also, guys. I mean, guys, I mean, think about it. These guys are playing in all different types of environments here. I mean, they've got to be mentally, physically prepared, and for anything really. So,
it's a huge deal, man.
Yeah.
Huge deal. But if y'all ready to, man, we can jump on the transfers. That's what I was going to kind of get into a minute ago, talking about Jordan Davis and with Alabama. Something I'm excited to see this year that also played Indiana was a guy by name Terrence Green. Now he's coming in as a defensive lineman, really a nose guard. This dude's 6'5", 320 pounds. You ain't taking away his chicken. All right, you ain't taking it away. All right, so he's a big old man. He reminds me with his size. Because he's not like a round, he's a slender but built and chiseled, and he reminds me a little bit of a Raekwon Davis. If y'all remember him from years back, I mean that dude, He went on to Miami, but he was in that interior nose position and just a massive human being like a Jordan Davis or a Waquan Davis or, they got that Ole Miss player now that's like 6'7" or something like that just to stop that inside run. And when you have a player like that can be that big and that physical and just is a hard to move, that's going to be huge in the development of the defensive line, but also just stepping up. Stepping up, talking about Tim Keenan, he's leaving going to the NFL. But I was looking at their stats, and they're almost right there. I mean, Tim Keenan had like 16 total tackles. Terrence had 15. So they're right there in line. So you're almost getting that same proven production. He didn't have any sacks this past year, but I think you're still getting that proven production that hopefully he can come in and be that immediate impact transfer that we're looking at. I know we got other ones, but that's one as a lineman that I look at and say, man, he has got the traits. We'll see if he's got it on the field, but he has the traits to be a next great defensive lineman for University of Alabama.
Yeah. And the defensive side of the ball is just very important, especially having a guy like that you can plug in there and not have to worry about. And Georgia has a guy like that that's kind of staying on the team. He played there a year ago, but another defensive player like we're already talking about, a transfer coming into Georgia that I'm very excited about is the guy that came out of Clemson that had a lot of he had a lot of production over there. So it's going to be like a 1-year thing for him. But Khalil Barnes is coming in from Clemson at the safety role for Georgia. And I think he's going to be one of those guys, same as you say, you can just plug and play.
Yeah.
He's already fit the mold. Huh?
That's what you're looking for. Is just when you go to the portal, it's got to be somebody that you can just plug and play. You're not going to have somebody sit on the bench. No, you're looking for guys that can make an immediate impact.
Yeah, and they're not looking to do that either. They're not looking to come in and sit on the bench. So I think Khalil Barnes is made a pretty, I guess, a business decision for him. He could have said, hey, I can either stay at Clemson or I could go on to the NFL draft, but let me just weigh out my options here. And then a guy like Kirby Smart comes in and says, hey, why don't you come here, finish your last year of eligibility playing safety for me and see how that goes. So I'm excited to see him playing safety for Georgia.
Yeah. Who's the player you're thinking about, Chunt, that's coming into your team in Tennessee in 2026?
Well, man, there's a guy, he's a defensive end coming out of, I believe, Penn State. His name is Chaz Coleman. And, guys, he's ranked number 2 in the transfer portal, the defensive end. He was a highly rated true freshman defensive end, recording 8 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 2 fumble recoveries, 1 forced fumble, and in 9 games before transferring to us. So I'm pretty excited about this dude here because we need somebody on that defensive line. We're good on linebackers. We got Aaron Carter and Andre Campbell, but we need that defensive line. We need somebody on the ends that can contain the run, especially against Alabama and Georgia. But this dude right here, guys, reminds me a lot of do you guys remember Derek Barnett? You may not. He played back in 2016 with Butch Jones when it was the Butch Jones brick by brick era, the joke. But
the joke.
But anyways, dude, Derek Barnett, who broke Reggie White, the Minister of Defense's record. So I just can't, fathom, is this guy going to come in? Is he going to stick with Tennessee as a sophomore transfer? And can he beat or break that record, guys? I mean, yes. So, do what?
That's what you want. That's actually what I'm kind of thinking about too. With you're talking about, and Michael's talking about a secondary player. We're talking about the upfront players, but really they all go hand in hand because really if you can get pressure on the quarterback and make him speed up his process of having to get rid of the ball, that causes problems. And if Georgia can do that up front, if Bama and Tennessee can cause pressure up front, it helps these back end safeties because the quarterback has no time. He can make a mistake. He can throw a pick. He can make the wrong read. He can miss the ball. So you got to have those elite edge players, elite nose tackles, and then if you can have an elite secondary, man, it just all works so hand in hand and making you hope for that one elite player, but when you can make the team around you better, like how awful, I won't say awful, but how bad Tennessee's secondary was last year, you got to think they were getting picked apart because the quarterbacks had so much time. When I was reading about Alabama's offensive line against Alabama, Tennessee had no sacks, none, and Ty Simpson was able to pick them apart. And so if they can get that elite pass rusher that can cause pressure and cause sacks and speed up the quarterback, man, Tennessee can really do something this year with that. Absolutely. And that helps your secondary. It helps you. It helps the people behind you when you can do your job at an elite level.
That's right.
It's huge. So I'm really thinking about that's going to help.
Yeah.
What you think about him though? You like your whole defense as a whole, or are you thinking that the secondary is going to be improved at all?
Well, with the linebackers that we have, right? So I'm not worried about that. With this new recruit that's coming in here, this transfer, not only him, but we've got others. So that's just going to bulk up the defense up front. And then our secondary in the back, I'm not really too concerned about that, man. I feel like they can hold their own. But like you said, if we can just, pass rush, get to the quarterback, we'll take care of our own,
Yeah.
So,
well, Jim Knowles coming in too, and maybe upset the apple cart, as you'd say. But with Tennessee, I was thinking a lot that they lost a lot of experience. But when it wasn't proven production, you're not losing anything. Like if your team was like the same thing with offensive line. If you're losing all these players, like we only got one returning starter, and that's actually nothing. Ryan Grubb announced this week that Jackson Lloyd's going to be a starter for the left tackle position. Michael Carroll was our only turning starter at the right tackle position. But I say that to say all the other offensive line, you're like, man, we only have one returning starter. What do those other four do? What did those other guys do last year? I mean, we couldn't run the ball. We couldn't protect the quarterback. So when you lose production that wasn't good, that sometimes can be a good thing. When players go out like, I hate to say it, like Boo Carter, somebody from our area, that, he had problem after problem, but he wasn't really proving himself week after week, and things were just happening. And it's like, man, if you weren't here to help us, go. If we're not here to help this team and build this team, and let's be elite together so we can get back to the playoffs, so we can get back to what we want to do and win a national title, then, hey, get on. We don't need you if you're not here to help us. You don't want none of those hurtful players that come in there and can be that divider in a team, because that really can be the one thing that keeps you from winning a national title is that one, you'd almost say, cancer in the locker room. And you hope that these transfers coming into Bama, Georgia, Tennessee aren't going to be that way, but there may be a reason why they left their last team. So all you can hope for is that with it coming to our teams, that they'll be better than what they were at their last stops,
Oh, yeah. And like you said, with Jim Knowles coming in, I mean, he's going to recruit himself, man, because all these players are like, man, Jim, I want to play for Jim Knowles. He's a great coach. So I'm just not worried about it. He'll handle things, I believe. So
he will. I think he'll be fine, and I think he'll do just fine. But pushing on to our next topic here, man. What are some guys? We talked about the coaches, we talked about the portal. Who are some guys on your recruits that was in your recruiting class coming into this year? Maybe even a guy that's not even on campus yet. That's going to be a freshman this year. But who is somebody that you're looking at and saying, man, I hope they come in and can be that instant contributor. I hope they come in and be that instant impact. Who is somebody like that for you, Chunk, on the Tennessee Vols?
Well, I've mentioned before in the podcast was that guy at quarterback, Faison Brandon. Yeah. We'll be seeing a lot of him at this spring game in April. But and I was wrong, by the way. He didn't win the Elite Eight, but he did make it to the Elite Eight, and he was in the top 5. But he did win. There's a challenge on there called the Rail Shot Challenge, and he won that. That was the first competition he won. But with Faison Brandon being a 5-star quarterback, man, that's just something that's huge for us, really, because he fits right into Josh Heupel's style of play. And which, Josh, like you said before, how Josh spreads those receivers out wide. Mm-hmm. He does that, and then it opens a lane in the run lane. But when you got a guy like Faison that can air it out like Joe Milton, his longest ball was 70 yards. So when you got a guy and he's a freshman, So when you got a guy like that, you get guys spread out. You've got plenty of room to run it with Deshaun Bishop. And then whenever you're getting the defense on, hey, they're going to run, here we go, play action, fake the run, send somebody downfield, bomb it to them. Like Jalen Hyatt, that guy, man, dude, he had like 10 yards on everybody. That was because of that widespread offense that we ran right there. So, and you know how, guys, we play with an extreme up tempo. We try to get a snap off within 12 to 15 seconds or, less. So, and Faison Brandon, that's all he knows, man. He's, like I said, he fits right into that scheme there, Josh Heupel's offensive scheme. So I feel like he's going to fit in, and it's just going to come natural to him. But the problem is, like I said before, is we need to get him developed as quick as we can. We've got to get him some experience. Like, I said, he's got all the talent in the world, but he needs that experience. So, I mean, we're just going to see what he does. But, man, I mean, picking up a 5-star like that is just – and guys, whenever in the transfer, recruiting kids, when you pick up a 5-star quarterback, you're going to start, all these wide receivers are going to be like, man, I want to come. I want to play with him, I want to, get the ball. So, and that one kid, 5-star quarterback, is going to recruit 5-star receivers. So, I mean, that's huge.
5-star offensive lineman. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, the thing I think about too, and I could be wrong on this, but I mean, you don't want to like this. I'm not saying you want to disrespect anybody that's played for him, but even with the Hendon Hookers, with Joey Aguilar, the Milton, has Heupel had that elite quarterback yet? I mean, has he had that 5-star just – I mean, he has all the talent in the world, that what you call the it factor. Has he had a quarterback like that? Because, man, if Faison Brandon could come in there and be that for Tennessee, oh, my goodness, what that would do. I mean, what more could Heupel do with a talented quarterback like that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like what kind of doors that would open for him if he can get that quarterback, in my favorite, like a Tua, that just had that it, man. That was just Johnny Manziel's, the Marcus Marios, those quarterbacks that just you couldn't stop, you couldn't line up against. I mean, they're just different. And if Josh Heupel has found that one for Tennessee, man, watch out for the Volunteers, buddy. Yeah. And he's only going to be a freshman. I mean, he's going to have time to grow as long as he stays put.
Hey,
don't leave.
The guy is 6'4", 200 pounds.
Wow.
Freshman, man, and true freshman. That's a big dude, man.
Yeah.
And, I mean, just watch out. That's all I can say is watch out for this kid, because like you said, is he going to be better than Joe Milton, Hendon Hooker, Joey Aguilar? We've had good quarterbacks, guys, but could he be elite for Tennessee?
Could be elite quarterback. That's the one thing I've always said about Georgia. And I know Gunner's been there, but it still don't feel like Georgia's had that like difference maker at quarterback. They've never had that just. And I mean, am I wrong, Michael, to say that?
No.
But you know what I'm saying?
Like, get rid of guys. A lot of the guys that would be the difference makers that you think, oh man, this guy was beating the Georgia records in high school. We bring him in, and then he loses a job out to guys that people thought were significantly less talented, and he transfers somewhere else. That happened with what's his name? He went to, and he did the same thing that Chunk's talking about, a 5-star recruit out of high school that was bringing a lot of guys with him. He said, hey, let's all go to Georgia and make Georgia this powerhouse. But he ended up transferring to Ohio State. Huh?
Justin
Fields, yeah. And that was a guy that everybody thought, man, why are we letting a guy like this walk? So I can't remember who the quarterback was at the time. Maybe Jake Fromm.
Yeah,
they were battling it out. And a lot of people were kind of upset that Jake Fromm got the starting job over him. But I don't know. Maybe Jake Fromm fit the mold better at Georgia, I guess. But you want to talk about elite quarterback play at Georgia. I mean, I'm representing the jersey right here of old Stetson Bennett, who should have a statue at the University of Georgia coming soon. I mean, I'm kind of like donating to that fund. I put $20 in it. I'm just hoping everybody else can kind of donate as well. But yeah, Stetson Bennett, man, he took us as back-to-back national championships. And honestly, man, I know you're talking about elite quarterback play. Maybe it's because Stetson Bennett had the elite of the elite all around him.
Yeah.
Yes.
So people like to say, "Oh, Stetson Bennett wasn't all that great. He wasn't all that." Well, he won us back-to-back national championships.
You know that.
So, well, I got upset at some of the costly stuff he did. But year two, the back-to-back one, like the first year, there was some plays that it looked like, man, he's going to lose us this game.
Yeah.
Especially in that 2021 national championship when it was like a crazy fumble that was rolled out of bounds, recovered by Alabama. And I thought, man, we may end up losing this game.
Don't remind me of it.
Well, I mean, the guy was 40 years old. You know, he's getting his AARP card in the mail. I mean, come on.
Hey, if that's what it takes, I mean, Indiana just did it, so maybe that's what it takes for teams to just be elite.
He was there at Georgia when they were preparing to play Oklahoma. Is that right? And 2017.
Well, he was a big part of the
title for them in 2023.
He was 2022. 2022.
Hey,
he was a part of the scout team. He was a part of the scout team that kind of like really helped Roquan Smith and guys like that get prepared for Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
So he was kind of imitating what Baker does on the field and was like, man, this is what we got to stop because Baker does these same things and Gunner was kind of doing it. But then he transferred somewhere else to JUCO and then come back to Georgia.
Yeah.
Well, you want to talk about a story, man. All Kurt Signetti, all this and that. He took a basketball school to win a national championship with 30-year-olds. I mean, a movie that should be made is about Stetson Bennett. You want to talk about perseverance. He transferred out to a JUCO, come back to Georgia, wasn't the starter at Georgia, just come back to Georgia to be the second string guy, and then leads them to back-to-back national championships.
And that's great.
So that's why Diego Pavia wanted an extra year because he like Stetson Bennett's played for him for 10 years, man. Come on.
Yeah. So Joey Aguilar, I mean Diego Pavia, all those guys wanted the same type of treatment. They were like, if he can play for 10 years, why can't I?
Why can't I, buddy?
They offered him a job at Georgia to be the mascot.
Yeah. He could have been. He could have took Harry Dogg's spot.
Right.
He can have anything he wants in Georgia after winning those two national titles.
For sure. Like the podcast I listened to with Jake Fromm on it, he talks about how he gets the star treatment. Even Drew Butler's like, man, I was just a punter at Georgia. So you go to Georgia and he gets like people driving by him in a golf cart and they're like, hey man, hop on the golf cart. I'll take you to the stadium. Jake Fromm doesn't have to walk to the stadium. A golf cart's going to take him there. They roll out the red carpet for Stetson Bennett. Yeah, he's coming. He's waltzing in there.
Yeah, you're gonna think the president is arriving when Stetson Bennett comes on the field.
Yeah.
But who's a recruit, man? I mean, talking about this statement, who's a recruit? I mean, you may not be quarterback, but who could be that player that maybe we're talking about in 5-10 years time? That's like, man, he was at Georgia great that we mentioned on the podcast. You know,
a guy that I don't have any quarterback that come to mind. Jared Curtis might have been a guy that I mentioned if he had committed to Georgia, but last minute he kind of said he was going to Vanderbilt. But a guy named Caden Prothro is a guy I'm excited about. He's a tight end, 6'6", 210 pounds out of Bowden, Georgia. And to me, man, you want to talk about what – and I know you got a lot of slack for this on the last podcast when you said Tennessee was wide receiver U. But I'm going to venture out to say that over the last 6 years, Georgia may have turned into tight end U. I mean, you got Darnell Washington, which is a refrigerator running over people at the Steelers right now. He was a Georgia guy that was phenomenal. You got Brock Bowers, Brock Bowers is probably the best tight end, at least in Georgia history.
Brock Bowers is Brock Bowers.
Yeah, Brock Bowers, you could almost say. I mean, my oldest son has a Brock Bowers jersey. It's his favorite player of all time single-handedly because of that catch he made against Florida. When it's bouncing all over the place, he grabs it and scores. So Darnell Washington, Brock Bowers, you got guys there that just recently, Oscar Delp and Lawson Lucky. So I think a perfect complement to Kirby Smart's offense, and the way Mike Bobo's going to do it is a guy named Caden Prothro, who's coming in and probably going to be a day one starter. I think he's going to fill right into that offense that Mike Bobo runs. And the reason I know that, you guys are like, well, how do you know he's just going to fit Georgia's offense so well? If you go and watch his senior highlights, one of the first plays on his highlight reel is a screen pass. So I already know he's going to fit. I already know he's going to fit Georgia's offense perfectly because he can do those screens. And he scored on it. Like I say, I know it's high school ball, but he took that screen pass all the way down the sideline. So I'm excited about a guy in Caden Prothro coming in. You hear that last name Prothro, and that almost makes you think of an old Alabama receiver.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, Prothro.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
I can't remember his first name. Tyrone Prothro or something like that.
Yeah, he had that crazy catch against Southern Miss.
He had a catch that you can't forget because it's behind the guy's back, which is sad what happened to him in the later part of his career, which I don't even want to mention. But, yeah, man, that guy was a great receiver. And I think Caden Prothro is hopefully going to make a big impact for Georgia year one. I mean, I'd love to see him be a true freshman on the field at that tight end spot, complimenting Lawson Lucky.
Well, talking about tight end, or not tight ends, but the wide receiver, Alabama, the Crimson Tide, baby.
I don't know,
wide
man.
Receiver,
People in the comment section maybe think it's Ohio State.
LSU, yeah. I mean, they're all great, okay, but which one of them had a Heisman Trophy winner? All right, let's go right there.
That's true.
Don't say Colorado. No, it's Alabama. No, but Alabama had that great at wide receiver. I mean, there was a time, in Saban's era, man, they was beast. And the player I'm excited about coming into recruiting this year for Alabama, his name is Cedarian Morgan. And I was going to talk about our running back, but Cedarian Morgan, man, is a wide receiver. And we've not had a receiver like this cat. I was watching his highlight tapes. My goodness, looks like a grown man. He's 6'4", 223, son. Big man.
Well, if he can't take a screen to the house, then Georgia wouldn't have got him. We wouldn't have went after him.
We actually go with a deep ball, son. Hit him deep. Deep.
If it ain't no screen pass, just forget it.
Hey, you tell you about hyping yourself up. You know, guys, what number he's wearing?
What?
Number 8. That was Julio Jones's number.
Yeah.
Yes.
Has the build just like him. And I'm hoping that he can step up into that role. I mean, we've not had a receiver that big to me since Julio. All the receivers we've got have been kind of, not undersized. I don't want to say that, but the speedsters. We've not had that just huge elite. I mean, I've heard it out this week. Alabama doing their spring camp already. Spring football is that in the red zone. That's where he is elite. That even against our secondary with Xavier Brown and John Lee, Red Morgan, all those players, he's still catching balls on them. And if you can do it against our secondary with the talent we've got, man, you can do it against anybody. Yeah, I really believe that. I don't know if he'll be a day one starter. I don't really expect him to, but man, if you can get him in the rotation and like I said, down in the red zone, get him matched up on an undersized corner. Or I've been watching his highlight tapes, man. This is where it would set him apart because he's fast, very fast and very big. Is you put him in the slot. People are putting him in the slot and then letting him go. Man, if he could do that, hey, you get him matched up on a linebacker running like a 4-5. Running a 4-4, I mean, to the house, buddy. Just hit me deep. Just watch my hand. It's going up. So, I mean, if he can come in and be that player that I'm hoping he can be, and maybe that next Julio, man, that would be so awesome. Compliment of Ryan Williams and Rico Scott, and man, I loved it. Last year, somebody that was kind of off everybody's radar was Lottie Brooks. Man, at the end of the year, he was coming on. I mean, I would be subject to say it was probably Jeremy Bernard, then Isaiah Horton, then. I mean, honestly, I'd probably put Lottie Brooks there over Ryan Williams at the end of last year. So I'm excited about him coming in. And like I said, we got a lot of talent. Our recruiting class is very good, but this cat stuck out to me. And I'm hoping he can come in and be that difference maker. But even if it's not year one, at least be in that rotation to get people like rest or just to come in special packages and red zone, short yardage. Because if you're that big of a man and you can go down the field and block, hey, that's a big deal too. So that's what's going to set him apart, hopefully. So, do you guys have any other kind of thoughts about the recruits coming in this year?
Well, I mean, it's nice that you can just say, "Hey, go down to the end zone. I'm throwing it deep."
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's good to have guys like that. They can get off the line quick, like you said, beat those linebackers. Man, that's all it takes, man. Slot receiver, dude. I mean, you can eat it up all day. Wear them out.
That's right. Well, Jake Fromm's biggest throw to me back in the day when he had a lot of size up receivers was that back shoulder throw. Man, he would kill people with that. Yeah, I mean, it seemed like all they would run is the back shoulder. Like, you can't stop it. But that's what I'm hoping maybe he can be utilized for with that amount of size. Just kind of give him a 50-50 ball and just see if he can go up and get it. I mean, can you imagine what he can jump to? I mean, I don't know his vertical and stuff, but being that tall, he could probably get a good vertical. And if he can go up against a smaller cornerback, I mean, you'd probably have not much of a chance. So that's
what we talk about with all our guys. We talk about how our specific coaching staff recruits specific players to fill those roles. And Georgia's that way, like with that guy, Caden Prothro. I think he's going to come right in and fill that tight end spot that we use. We utilize the tight end spot for a certain role, and that's, I think, what he's going to be. I think he's going to be a plug-and-play guy his freshman year.
Now, which one came back? Is it Lucky or is it Delp that came back?
Delp went in the NFL draft, so
Lawson Lucky.
Yeah, he's back. Which he's the guy that had that really cool story with his brother and stuff, and that's kind of what kept him in Georgia. He was being recruited all over the country, but he said, "I want to stay close to my brother." And after that crazy game against Ole Miss in the regular season where he scored 3 touchdowns and everybody else on campus is going out to celebrate, you just beat the number 5 team in the country. And really because of him with those 3 touchdowns, he goes straight home and celebrates with his little brother, which is just amazing, man. So I think that's going to be a role. That's going to be a guy like Caden Prothro is just going to be perfect to complement what Lawson Lucky already brings.
Yeah, well, like I said, you hope that these recruits will step up, but the biggest thing I hope they do is I hope they stay. Just don't come in here for 1 year, man. Right. Like, just stay at a program, please. You know?
Commit. Be committed.
Commit.
And that's hard to get nowadays.
Yeah, and all these people, because if you do really good, and let's say your second chance, what if Darius Morgan? He has a good year, but he's not that starter role, and somebody comes and offers him. It's hard to say no, but at the same time, it's like, man, just wait it out sometimes. Wait your turn. If you're not an instant starter, your time's going to come. You just got to be patient sometimes. And so you see players like Gunnar Stockton, this coming year and this last year that, his time finally came and now he's making the most of it. But he could have been one that could have left, but you hope that they just stay. Lawson Lucky, Oscar Delp,
It makes you think about a guy that's our second string quarterback right now, Ryan Puglisi. And I'm thinking, man, that guy hasn't seen the field yet unless it's in cleanup duty or something. So he's kind of a guy that's just sitting on the sidelines waiting his turn. And there's a lot of other teams that may say, hey, I've noticed you've been sitting behind Gunnar, but he's going to get his time. And I think that's also why Jared Curtis decided he wasn't coming to Georgia. He's going to go into Vanderbilt and play year 1. And I don't think he knew that he was going to sit behind who's ever next in line at Georgia. And right now next in line is Ryan Puglisi after Gunnar.
Well, you hope, but you just want to have good competition in the room. I mean, that's when, we talk about recruits. The biggest thing I think I've heard Bama say at these really the NFL, but they say, I'm recruiting to replace you.
Yeah.
I'm recruiting to replace you. So, I mean, you got to have competition in this world, in this life.
Yeah.
And you might as well just be at one of the biggest schools in the country. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and being I'm a big Falcons fan too. We're not a NFL podcast, but that's what I didn't understand with them getting Kirk Cousins. You pay him 180, 120 million, whatever his ridiculous contract was, just to go out and get a guy like Michael Penix. And he was sitting there thinking, you're using our first round pick on Michael Penix, and what does that mean for me? And and you see how it played out. He lost his starting job to him.
Yeah, but got $180 million to sit on the sideline, son. I'll sit here and drink tea all day.
Yeah.
Just tell me what you want me to do.
Yeah, I'll sit on the sidelines for that amount of money.
Yeah, I mean, I'd do it for half. You know what I mean? I tell him.
And then when he did get in the game, it's not like he made everybody second guess why he was sitting there.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of trial by fire. They just, throw the guy in, Hey, but sometimes it's best, just like you said, just, sit back and, wait your turn, because you can learn. You can learn from the next guy, and instead of just being in a rush, hey, put me in, coach. I mean,
yeah. Well, that's the biggest thing. I mean, I just hope that all of our recruits that, like we say, they're on a team right now stay. But in the world of college football we live in, it's not going to happen. Yeah. We can wish for it, we can hope for it, but it's just not going to happen until, like we said a couple weeks ago, that SCORE Act, they get some guardrails up. But man, you want to talk about, like you're talking about the NFL and all this free agency, all these people going new places and doing all these things. Our last segment here tonight is going to be about new faces and new places. Coaches and players that are in the college game, not the NFL, but college game, that have now went on to, maybe they were at one school, now they transferred. Maybe a coach is at one school, now they've left and went to this program. So we want to just talk to you about a couple and discuss about our opinion about what we think about these hires and what we think about these players coming in. And, I mean, you can't start nowhere else besides LSU. I mean, last year alone, and I mean, it's not just about LSU, it's about Lane Kiffin. Last year, whenever Florida was in, week 2 or 3, they started talking about Lane Kiffin going to Florida. Then I know where LSU fires Brian Kelly after that debacle against Texas A&M. And then Lane Kiffin starts to be talked about at LSU. But I feel like every week that we went on the podcast, but we were still talking, and people around the country were still talking about what's going to happen with Lane Kiffin. Is he going to stay at Ole Miss? Is he going to go to Florida? Is he going to go down to LSU? Every week after these huge games. And he finally decides to go to LSU, middle of the night, leaving Ole Miss, leave them with Pete Golding, doesn't go to the playoffs. But, with Lane Kiffin coming to LSU, guys, that's going to be could it be a match made in heaven or a nightmare made somewhere else? Could it be? I don't know. Yeah. I guess we'll see on the field, but he is bringing in Sam Levitt that come from Arizona State. He's coming in there, and, he's not able to practice in spring, but I think he's going to be a plug-and-play quarterback. And so can Lane Kiffin do anything big at LSU his first year, guys? What do y'all think?
Look at what he did for Ole Miss. Of course, man. I knew it the day whenever he said that he was going to Ole Miss. I knew it. I said, watch out. Ole Miss is about to be back on the map, back on the radar. And, look where they went last year, the playoffs. But I think it's a good thing for Kiffin to be going to LSU, just because all of the he is a Saban disciple. But, besides that, man, he is a good coach. He did – I hate to say it, he coached for us, but a lot of Vols people hate him. But I respect the guy. I respect the guy. I give him props. He's gotten into a few things, but the man knows what he's doing. The man knows what he's doing. Just trust in him, and he will bring LSU back to where they need to be. So
they need to stay down. They need to stay. We don't want them to come up.
Oh yeah,
that's probably my biggest rival. I do not like, besides Georgia and LSU are probably right there for me. I just do not like LSU. But I really think, he could bring them up. He said, Saban says that's the best job in the entire country. And that's what kind of got him to go to LSU. And I'm wondering if he'll do it in year one. But I've always said it since he went to Ole Miss and was making them year by year by year by year better. And his record just kept improving, even though everybody say he was going to fall off. But last year, they were supposed to fall off. They were, after that Jackson Dart left and all those players left, Ole Miss was supposed to fall off. But really, they stepped up. And so it said a lot about Lane Kiffin. So it just makes me wonder what he can do with the talent and the blue blood that is LSU, where you don't have to go across the country to get talent. Man, you can get every recruit you need in your state. You don't have to leave the state to go get recruits. So what can he do with them is going to be the big question. What do you think about it, Michael?
Well, I hope he doesn't have success at LSU. And we'll get a lot of feedback on that from the comment section. But I don't like a guy that bounces back and forth like that at all. But like you say, I guess the biggest deciding factor was old Saban saying it was the best coaching job in college football. And he coached how many years at Alabama, and he still said that. So that's a shot at you guys, I think. He said
who knows if he said that?
He said
Could
LSU.
Lane just be trolling?
Well, I have insight. I actually just got off the phone with Saban, and he said he wished he had never left LSU and stayed there his whole.
Yeah. I don't know about you guys, brother, but I got a lot of championships right here. I'm looking around. I got the hat and the ball.
He said he would have doubled those had he just stayed at LSU and never went anywhere else. But I don't know, man.
Calm down.
And maybe that's what his whole mantra was. I'm just going to go to wherever I want to go and try to make that place successful, because nobody can deny what he did at Ole Miss was really good. And nobody can deny that. He put Ole Miss back on the map, and I think he's probably going to have success at LSU, as much as I hate to say it, because I don't want him to, but I think he will have success at LSU. But I don't think that we're going to talk about the 6 teams. There's 6 teams in the SEC that the start of the 2025 season, they had a completely different head coach than what they have right now. That, to me, that alone is a crazy statistic. But that's the way that college football is going. If you don't produce anymore, then you're out of here. I never thought a team like Kentucky was ever going to fire old Stoops, because I thought, man, he's just a figure there. Kentucky's complacent with being mediocre, and they said, no, we're done being mediocre. We want to be. I saw your face. I saw your face when I said Kentucky's mediocre. But imagine this. Imagine saying Kentucky is on your schedule. You don't ever really think that that's going to be a loss.
They are this year.
They are on your schedule?
W. Week 2, baby.
Watch them beat y'all. That'd be something. But
we're going to their house week 2.
Dude, I even dealt with this. I dealt with it. My son, Malachi, was 5 years old when I took him to his very first Georgia game. It happened to be Georgia's 2021 season when they went on to win the national championship. Georgia was undefeated and Kentucky was undefeated. And the hype around the Kentucky team before we played that game was something I've never seen. I saw all these people. We were on vacation the week prior. So I saw all these people down in Panama City, where we were vacationing at, wearing Kentucky stuff, Kentucky football stuff. I've never seen that in my life. And they dusted off. They dusted it off. They dusted it off because they were ranked really good. They were up in the top 10. Georgia was top 10, and SEC Nation was there. College Game Day was there. It was a big-time matchup, and I'm really glad it was Malachi's first game ever. But we dog-walked them. And then they went right back to being but then they went right back to being the basketball school that they are.
Knocked them down.
But that brings me to this point. I think all 6 of those teams in the SEC alone, we're not even talking about nationwide, which we probably will touch base on, but all 6 of those teams in the SEC were tired of being what they are. So they went out and got a new head coach to try to fill that void. Mm-hmm. But I know we were just talking about Lane Kiffin at LSU, which brings me to this point. Everybody's talking about how Ole Miss is now done with. They're going to fall right off because Lane Kiffin is gone. I do not agree with that. I think Pete Golding is a good head coach, and I think he's going to keep Ole Miss at least competitive. I think Ole Miss is going to be in the conversation nationally in the following years, because I don't think Pete Golding's just going to let them fall right off. And how I know that is because a guy like Pete Golding doesn't care if you're already in class at Clemson. He's going to call you and try to pluck you right out of Clemson's program and then win that battle with a guy that's already went to Clemson. So to me, man, I think Ole Miss is going to continue to be competitive with Pete Golding. That's a new face at a new place in 2026, although he kind of finished up their 2025 season. But I think he's going to do well. I really do. I know we're all
Y'all not ready for that week 3 matchup, though? Oh. LSU, Ole Miss.
Oh, that's
going to be going back to Oxford.
Yeah. That is going to be huge.
That's going to be
brutal.
We've talked about this off. We've talked about this off the podcast, but I think it'd be hilarious if Ole Miss does something, to kind of trigger Lane Kiffin because he's coming back to the team.
Don't say it.
Well, I'll just play it right here. But I think that's going to be a huge time matchup because everybody in Tennessee, if Tennessee has an Ole Miss friend, if anybody in Tennessee has a friend of theirs that's an Ole Miss fan, they're going to call them and say, "Hey, bring your mustard, bring your golf balls, and just try to peg him." Because that's what they're going to be upset, of course.
Well, I don't understand about Lane, and I know we'll get off him in a second, but I don't understand is why he builds a program up and, dude, burns the bridge.
Yeah.
Burns it on the way down. Tennessee,
Yeah.
I mean, they were setting the city on fire. You got USC, they lit it on the tarmac with Alabama. He didn't even get to finish the season. Going to a national title game. It was 2016. Remember, he didn't even coach in the national title game.
Yeah.
They even told him just go ahead and go. I mean, everywhere you go, dude, you leave it.
Yeah.
You
and that's the biggest difference. That's the biggest difference between a guy like Kirby Smart and Lane Kiffin. Kirby Smart, a guy of character, he was coaching for a national championship.
Jeez.
He was coaching for a national championship, and it was Sony Michel that I heard in a podcast recently talked about how Kirby Smart flew into Athens to talk to his guys and to talk to a guy like Sony Michel, Nick Chubb, and all these guys and say, hey, you know, I'm glad that you guys are already here. I know y'all are a Mark Richt recruited player, but this is what we're going to do in this coming season with me as your head coach. Then he had to fly back to Tuscaloosa to finish out what he started there.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
It is.
It's pretty incredible to be that way. So, but you got any thoughts on that, Chunk?
Well, I mean, with Lane Kiffin, man, it's just all of us Vols fans, I believe we've got a bad taste in our mouth just because how he did us, you know, back in the day. You know, he Pepsi dropped us. He dropped us off at the convenience store and said, go in, get a Pepsi, I'll be back. And then he just drives off and leaves. But
like an old dog.
Right, like an old dog, just leave them out, you know, let them out of the car and drive off. But man, I just don't know, man. I think Lane, I'd like to see Lane go to Alabama, honestly, Adam. You know, I'd like to have seen him and what he could do at Alabama, but going to LSU, you know, a big place like that, man, it's bad news. You know, it's bad news. Like you said, I mean, can he turn it around in year one? And I'm willing to say yes, guys. I mean, I trust in him, and I believe that, you know, him being a good coach as he is, you know, he can do that for them. So,
well, what did they have? The number one transfer class of this year? Which that's almost a go figure moment there. You got Lane at LSU. Of course, he's going to have the number one transfer class. And then, and they've already said that. And I know we've hinted on this before too. The diplomacy rate in LSU isn't the greatest, but man, they're going to dump that money into recruiting and transfers. Mm-hmm. And not even recruiting and transfers. You want to talk about the buyouts. You already had Ed Ogeron buyout, Bill, and now Brian Kelly buyout. And then you went and paid a ton of money to get Lane Kiffin, and you've promised Lane Kiffin all the NIL money you could ask for. So they're dumping NFL kind of money into making them competitive again.
Well, they want it bad, man. I mean, they're used to winning national titles. I know they went for a little stretch, you know, with I think it was 2007 to 2019, but still that fan base expects titles.
Yeah.
You know, they're a fan base that's tasted that blood, and they want to get back to it. So
absolutely,
they're willing to do whatever it takes to get back in there, and that's kind of thing. I just wonder if there's any more coaches that can really turn it around this year. I mean, somebody I'm thinking about that we all play this upcoming season. I don't know if you realize this, but we all play the University of Auburn. Yeah. And they brought in Tennessee football's former offensive coordinator, Alex Golich, which 2 or 3 years ago, man, he's giving Alabama a run for their money down in South Florida. And then when they came to Tuscaloosa, I mean, it's a close game in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
You know, so what can he do? When you talk about Lane Kiffin and what he wasn't able to do at Ole Miss, imagine what Alex Golich can do at Auburn.
I tell you what he did. I tell you what he did. He took a playbook. He took a page out of Curt Cignetti's playbook because he left, I guess you would say, a lesser university like the University of South Florida is, like the University of James Madison is, James Madison University where Curt Cignetti was, and he brought a ton of those James Madison kids with him to Indiana. Well, Golish did the same thing. He had, I think, 14 players on that USF team has followed him over to Auburn. Yeah. So I do think
the
that's
biggest one's probably Byron Brown.
Yeah. And that, of course, that's the biggest one. And then he brought a lot of his other guys and starters from USF. So I think that's going to be a big discussion for this season that people kind of just have flying under the radar. But, man, if he already knows what he had at that school, and he said, hey, I'm at my new school now, but I'm bringing all of you with me. It's the same type thing as Kurt Signetti.
Yeah. Well, I mean, who's he bringing with him this time? I mean,
well, he brought their quarterback from South Florida. A couple
receivers, some offensive linemen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's bringing a lot of talent with him. But the biggest thing is, like we talk about with quarterbacks, guys, it's a guy that's been in his system.
Yeah.
So you're not having to come in and teach a guy a new system.
Right.
He knows the system. He knows what you want to run.
Yeah. So now instead of playing at South Florida, instead of playing for that system at South Florida, he's just playing for it with Auburn. Yeah, which is just going to be better for everybody, for them. So Auburn's on Tennessee schedule.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. So Adam, how does that make you feel? I mean, I know I'm going to tailgate that game, the Iron Bowl. How does that make you feel about Alex Golish going to Auburn?
I don't like that. Well, you think about it. When Tennessee beat us in Neyland in 2022, he was offense coordinator there. And when he had good quarterback play along with Heupel, he was able to pick us apart. But that was with Saban.
Right.
Next year, when USF, we played them at their house, he still kind of did the same thing. He ran the same plays. You know, they have the same kind of playbook. And then I thought that game, they probably the one that had better quarterback play. But Byron Brown, he wasn't as good then. He needed some experience. I think he was a freshman at the time. And then they came in to Tuscaloosa the next year, and I thought, well, they ain't going to do nothing now. You know, it'd be nothing. You know, it'd be kind of like a revenge game. Man, they played them tooth and nail. So if he can get Auburn to believe, like he had USF believing, they could be some trouble. You know, in Auburn, I tell you something crazy is that I was watching Crane and Company the other day. They were talking about the top 5 easiest places to play. Oh, so I think since 2019 or 2021 or 2020, something like that. Auburn was number 2. They were a little bit under, or maybe one game over 500 at home. One game above 500 at home. And that's hard for us to think about because how hard it is for Georgia to go in there, or how hard it is for Bama to go in there. But they've just not been very good. So with this new kickstart at head coach, I mean, it's exactly what Auburn needs. Right. Auburn has the potential to be elite. It has everything you want, but they just hasn't had the right head coach.
Yeah.
So have they finally found that guy? They thought they had it in Hugh Freeze, and I did too, but they were still going off the same thing. He beat Bama twice.
Right.
You know, he beat Bama. That's the whole reason I think he got the job. But like I say, I think really that they could be a powerhouse team if they have found the right coach.
Well, like you know, it makes me feel a little uneasy that we've got to play them because, you know, Alex Golish knows our format. I mean, he knows everything inside and out Tennessee because, you know, like you said, 2022, look what we did. Yeah. But so, I mean, I'm kind of curious. Hey, we may lose that game. I mean,
there's a chance.
There's a chance.
Where's that?
Yeah. They're playing in Neyland, I believe.
Yeah, Neyland. Yeah. So, yeah. At least we have
y'all are playing. Yeah, that's huge.
Yes.
So, but you know, it's going to be a big deal. And I mean, another one I'm thinking about too is, you know, we could tie these really into one, but you got Matt Campbell that's coming into Penn State, you know, and he came in, if you guys remember, it was really late. I mean, their recruit class was already done. The transfer portal was already open. And then they finally went and got Matt Campbell. And if you watch Josh Pate's college football show, he was campaigning for that the whole time. And then finally they went and got Matt Campbell because he's in the same boat of you've got consistency at these smaller programs.
Yeah. What
can you do if you get on a bigger program? Matt Campbell had Iowa State always seeming to be pretty consistent. You know, remember a couple years ago they had Brock Purdy there.
Yeah.
And they were very consistent. I think they even got to the Big 12 title game against Baylor. So, you know, they're always very consistent. Or that might have been against last year, not this previous year, but the year before in 2024. They got to the Big 12 championship game. But he's always had them very consistent. And it's like, what can he do if he gets a powerhouse behind him like Penn State? Or like, you know, we talked about with Golish going to Auburn, you know, Lane going to LSU. I mean, it's going to be surprising to see what these guys can do with being new faces, new places, and what they can do with these programs that have, you hate to say it, but almost been sitting on the shelf, that maybe haven't reached their potential, that haven't been relevant in a long time. But now the problem and the goodness about Indiana is that you could say, well, if he did it in Indiana, he can do it anywhere. But the other thing is you're going to be expected to do it like that. Yeah. So these coaches going into these new schools, you're not going to be given 4 or 5 years to turn them around. You're not going to be given all the recruiting classes and transfer portals to make it your team. Buddy, you better do it right now.
Yeah,
you got this year, next year.
I mean,
you're talking about programs sitting on the shelf. I mean, Indiana, like he says, a basketball championship school. Indiana, Curt Cignetti took a program that wasn't even sitting on the shelf, man. They were like out in the back shed. They were in the shed. He went out there, dusted them off, and turned them into a program that's winning national championships.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, there's only one. Just say it won a national championship.
Right. Well, I think it'll
hopefully
stay with
not an S.
Yeah, I hope
not an S.
I think it'll just be one, but we'll see how that pans out.
Well, you know, I'm really thinking they could do a lot at Penn State. I mean, with James Franklin, he was somebody that, I said it last week, but man, like, not going into last season, or yes, going into last season, if you remember, they were just a couple plays off being in the national title game. And then because there were such high expectations that last season, like game 5 or 6, he was out. I mean, I never thought in a million years that would happen. You know, and I thought really at the time they weren't playing very well. If you watch their football, they weren't playing very well. But I still said there's no way they'd fire him. But it's I got to have it right now. That you're not given no time. If you can't come in and produce a winner, you're out of here and the next man's coming in.
Well, man, who can do that? I mean, who can do that? Who can come into the program and just instantaneously turn it around? I mean,
I don't think it's sustainable. I don't think it's sustainable to have those expectations. But because of the era we're in right now, and you can go out and get a team practically in 1 year's time, that's the expectation.
Yeah, I don't think it's sustainable. But everybody's going to use Curt Cignetti as that kind of like role model, this is what I want us to do. LSU, I mean, Lane Kiffin now is at LSU, a powerhouse program. Why can't you do this like Curt Cignetti did? But he did build up from James Madison. Like I say, he took a ton of those guys out of James Madison, so he already had a base there, and he did it in 2 years at Indiana. So I don't know. People are going to try to compare apples to oranges with that for a long time, but I don't think you can. In all fairness, like the only person that's doing that even relatively close is Golish and maybe John Summerall. He took some guys from where he was at, so maybe not to the extent that Curt Cignetti did, but yeah, if that's what you're going to do, then you're going to be firing guys every couple of years.
He was at Tulane.
He got
Summerall was at Tulane.
On that transfer list that we had been talking about, he took some guys from Tulane to Florida. Yeah. Not as many as Golish did to Auburn, but he took some.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to see. I mean, Chuck brought them up the other day. I think on our first podcast was about Florida. Man, like what, that's a school, and I mean, we could talk about it here, but that's a school that if you could figure it out there, like what Urban Meyer had building, I mean, in 3 or 4 years, he had 2 national titles. If you get the right guy in there, man, Florida could be unstoppable.
Yeah.
Unstoppable with the amount of recruiting that they have. But it really makes you think, have they found the right guy in John Summerall? You hope. But with the amount of turnover they've had, you just don't know. Yeah. They had Dan Mullen a couple years ago. He was in the SEC title game. The next year, out the door.
Yeah.
I mean, I just can't. It boggles my mind when you really think about it like that, but how there is no patience in college football at all. But I tell you what it is. I mean, we all sit here and know it's about that money.
Yeah.
It's about that money. If you got these boosters and these guys playing, they're paying all these players, they're paying all these coaches, and they want these big, these big checks, and they want a proven product on the field. They want to be able to go to their buddies and brag about how good their team's doing. They want to be able to go to their friend's house and tell about, I gave this much money. Look how good we're doing. That's what they want. And when that happens, buddy, you let the boosters start coming in. Hey, you out of here, boss. You ain't cutting the cheese.
Well, every program's wanting that. Every program wants that. The Arizona State head coach come out and said, I just want somebody to write a $20 million check.
Yeah.
And then, we'll build you something maybe outside the stadium, but just write a $20 million check and we'll get in the guys that we want to get in here and we'll go win something.
Yeah. Well, without it, you can't. They want to buy right now. It's sad that football's got this way, but they want to buy a win.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes being a loser to become a winner. I mean, I don't know. It's
Tennessee got a lot of experience with that first part.
Yeah.
We'll see what they can do this upcoming year, man. I tell you, I mean, hey, we talked about it last week, man. Old Hype, if he don't figure it out, I mean, what if they go like I think yesterday or today, I seen their over under and win percentage or win total was like 6.5. Dude, if he goes under 6 wins, he's out of out of there. No doubt.
Like you said, it's almost a lose-lose situation because let's say Heupel does have a great amount of success this year, but then Oklahoma's coach doesn't, and Brent Venables is out the door. And who's to say Heupel doesn't say, "Hey, I like my time here at Tennessee, but I come from Oklahoma, so I'm gonna go back over there,
go back home."
Yep. But he may not because he had, I don't know, there was some drama around that before, wasn't there, where he was coaching there a little bit?
Yeah, he's evolved for life.
He might be.
Ain't going nowhere.
I don't know. Hey, money talks.
Be saying that.
The money.
You won't be saying that he's evolved for life if he does win 6 games this next year.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Then you'll be like, you know what? He's out the door. Next ball up.
Yeah, next ball. Well, that's another one too. I mean, you talk about Penn State and all these others. I mean, what do you guys think about James Franklin going to Virginia Tech? That's another sleeping giant that when we was growing up, man, they were really good. Well, the Mike Vick days and Beamer days, and they were really good, but they haven't been much since. And so, do you think James Franklin can really take them to that next level?
I don't know, man. I think his track record doesn't. I don't know. He has a lot of hype around him. I mean, it was 3 or 4 days after he was fired from Penn State. He's on College Game Day, and he's talking all this. I'm just going to go somewhere else and win. We're going to go somewhere else and win. And I'm like, if you had done that where you're at, you wouldn't have been fired.
Right.
So I don't know. I think there's a lot more hype around that name than anything else. And I may be wrong about that, but that's another one that I'm going out on a limb and saying that I don't think Virginia Tech is going to amount to much even after he gets on over there.
Yeah, I got to agree with you, Michael. I mean, just him alone, it's all about who you have around you, you know what I'm saying? But I don't see him doing much at all at Virginia Tech. So
I tell you what's so sad is they got probably the coolest entrance in football.
Oh, they
do.
Because
they haven't been great, they don't show them very much. You know? It's sad.
You're blasting Metallica walking out the tunnels, man. You better go out there and win.
Yeah. Yeah. Lately they've been laying eggs, man. Laying eggs. Well, I mean, the final guy I was kind of going to talk about tonight is what y'all think about with Sharon Moore leaving, and the way he did. It was kind of sad, but with him leaving Michigan, they brought in Kyle Whittingham from Utah, and we know that Kyle Whittingham had Utah at a very good level. He ends up retiring, but then Michigan comes calling, and now he's at Michigan, So again, we go back to if they would have had the resources they have now, what could they have been? So now going to these new programs, what more can he do at even a place like Michigan?
The consistent change of the landscape of college football is hard for any coach to keep up with. Even a guy like Dabo Swinney at Clemson, he's having the hardest time keeping up with the changes of college football. So now you're telling me you're going to get a guy out of the retirement home to do that? I don't know. I don't know if it's going to pan out the way Michigan fans want it to. Is all I'm going to say.
I just think they want to get back to the physicality that they had under Harbaugh, and with Kyle Whittingham, they're kind of like, I think he gets us back to that spot.
And he might if he can get the guys there that he wants to get and keep those guys, and maybe he has a way of doing that. But it's just hard, man. All these guys that are old heads and like the way things used to be, such as Saban, they're not really doing great in this landscape of college football to me. And I think he may not either.
Yeah.
But he might prove me wrong, but I don't see it happening.
Somebody proves you wrong.
I believe he's going to be like a Sam Pittman at Arkansas. He's just not going to work out, buddy. He's just not going to. You know, you got to get with the program.
Bridge. He's probably going to be that bridge to the next coach.
Yeah.
And I mean, Kyle, he's older. I mean, not saying that you can't win at that. I mean, Saban was winning late in his 60s and 70s, but you know, so you got that. He is older, but I think he may be that bridge gap to that next coach. And you know, they wanted on DeBoer. You know, I told you guys that at the Rose Bowl. I was talking to a guy behind me that's in the Alabama program, and he said that smoke was real. I didn't think it was. I thought it was all hype just to get, you know, a better contract. But no, sir. They wanted Kalen DeBoer, and luckily we kept him, hopefully. but yeah, Kyle Whittingham, I mean, we'll see what he does. I think he could be a good difference maker there at Michigan. That little change of program and physicality and bringing that mental edge maybe back to Michigan, because I mean, 2 years ago, guys, they're hosting the national championship trophy. You know what I mean? I mean, they're lifting that. They're lifting up what we all strive for, and here they are. Didn't have the good last 2 years, but let's see what he can do with them.
Which is what I hope the SEC standard gets back to. Which I know we didn't touch base on this, but man, it's been 3 years since an SEC school won it, and I don't know. It's been Big Ten ever since. So I hope we can get back to SEC being a constant like denominator in that Final Four, and then going to win the whole thing. Because I'm not liking this landscape, but
no, sir, we want to be winners, and I mean that's what.
Yeah.
When you're used to it, it hurts, you know, to not see the SEC winning like we think we should be. But man, like I said, it's been great, and I think this show is really good about just talking about all of our teams first and foremost, with you know, biggest recruits, biggest new coach, biggest transfers coming into our schools according to our opinion. And please, everybody, it's our opinion. You know, we're not here to, you know, get fired at. You know what I mean? They got some comments in the comment section, pretty rough, but y'all just calm down. But no, it's been good, and we want conversation. We want to hear from you guys. You know, let us know in the comments. Is there somebody that we missed? Or somebody we didn't talk about? There's somebody on all of our teams that you're looking forward to, you know?
Pleasant conversation's better than that anything too, you know. Don't just say y'all suck and go some team that Aggies. Y'all suck, go Aggies. Until y'all play Texas or any meaningful game, that is. But I think but I don't know. I think it is fun, you know, getting our opinion out there and then having other people chime in, especially if it's like a comment that we can like bounce back and forth off of. Oh yeah, we may mention that in the next podcast or something. Yeah. Not if it's like, you know, some bird brain person comment on there, y'all suck, because then you can't talk about that except for right now when we talk about, and maybe that isn't a segment we ought to bring up. We should mention Texas A&M, that just hopes and dreams. The hopes and dreams of the 12th man just isn't panning out. But
you're losing every Aggie fan or not, buddy. You're losing every.
There's a lot of Georgia sucks comments on there, man.
No, and I'm sure there is. They just hate us because they ain't us.
Yeah, they do. But it's been good, man. I appreciate y'all being on here, and we'll look forward to next Sunday night, same time and same place, and hopefully talking about our favorite teams and just tailgating together, man. I love it and looking forward to it. And I want to thank everybody out there that subscribed, that's liked our videos, that's shared our videos. Thank you guys so much. And we love you, and we'll see everybody, you know, next week. So I guess we'll do the outro, guys, if y'all ready. We'll do tailgate on me, tailgate on 3. You ready? 1, 2, 3, tailgate.